reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? So that I'm counting days until the second glow. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn the shit around, just start to top the yells. It's all you need to do. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? So that I'm counting days until the second glow. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn the shit around, just start to top the yells. It's all you need to do. this far. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe at home? Till the counting days until a second go. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around, just out of top the yards. It's all you need to do.
Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe at home? Till the counting days until the second go. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around, start to top the yards. It's all you need to do.
this far. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? Till the counting days appear a second glow. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn the shit around without a doubt, the youngs is all you need to do. It's 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 all you need to do. Never thought that we'd go this far. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? Till the counting days appear a second glow. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn the shit around without a doubt, the youngs is all you need to do.
What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here for another Good Morning Tottenham. Good morning to everyone out there today. How we're going to structure today, we're going to go through every word Antonio Conte said in his press conference last night. Quite a damning press conference, to be honest. Took a lot away from that, every word he was saying, and it seems as though he's finally understanding what he's walked into now at Tottenham Hotspur. That's for sure.
I was hoping he wouldn't ever understand what he's walked into, because he might not be here for much longer.
Yeah,
That's what I'm worried about.
I know. And, you know, the one comment he said last night, which we'll get into in a bit, but he says, I'm still happy to be here. Like, he's already thinking about...
Yeah, that's what I was like. I'm happy to stay. I was like, what? What do you mean you're happy to stay? You just got here.
I know.
What do you mean you're happy to stay?
I know.
It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, sorry, guys, we're really late today. I mean... It is what it is, but we are here now. And then after the press conference, we're going to do a match review from last night. The absolute shit show that was a 2-1 loss against the lowest ranked side in the Europa Conference League last night. And then we're going to go for a match preview for the game this weekend, 2 o'clock kickoff at Turf Moor. So first and foremost, let's get into the press conference. 8 minutes of Antonio Conte fire from last night.
So we're going to take some questions on tonight's game, but then we're also going to have an embargoed section for Sunday's match against Burnley. So we'll start with this evening's game. Alistair Gold.
Aye.
What do you say to the players after a performance like that?
I prefer don't speak after the game, especially when the game is not good, because you are involved too emotionally, and I think after the game is good, don't speak with the players, and we'll do it tomorrow, and a bad loss, and I'm not satisfied for what happened, and this is the second time in a row that we finish the game in 10 against Vitesse. It happened the same, and we risked to don't win against Vitesse, and today it happened again, and I think this team is very young, but at the same time he has to work to improve, because the detail move the final result, and yeah, I didn't like what happened tonight, the performance, and I must be honest, and to tell you that after 3 weeks and a half, I'm starting to understand the situation, and I can tell you that the situation is not simple. It's not simple, because in this moment, for sure, the level of the Tottenham is not so high. It's not so high, and there is an important gap against the top team in England. But this mustn't be scared, because I'm here to work. I'm here to improve the situation in one end, but in other end, I know that we have to work hard, but we have also to improve the quality of the situation, because if we want to be competitive, but I know that in this moment we need to have patience, time, and I'm here because I know that there are problems, no? There are problems to solve, but after 3 weeks and a half, I'm happy to stay here, but at the same time now I must be honest to tell that we need to work a lot and to improve the quality of the squad, because we are Tottenham, and Tottenham in this moment the gap is there is an important gap with the top team, and but I repeat, I'm not scared, and I want to work, but at the same time, I'm ready to work. But we need time, especially for our fans, because our fans want to see the team to win. Yeah, me too. But I want to be honest that we need to work a lot and to improve the situation. We need time, we need patience. I don't know what happened in the future, but I'm here because I'm happy to stay here to work for Tottenham. We have a lot of desire to work, but you can work, but then you can push a car at the maximum level, but the maximum level sometimes it's not enough to be competitive with other team.
Are you worried that it will take you more time than you thought to fix those problems?
But honestly, I'm not scared, and I'm not worried about this. But for sure, we need time. We need time, patience, and this is not an excuse. I don't like to find excuse. I want to be honest. I want to be honest and to tell that we started the work and we need time. We need time and patience, especially about our fans. And we have to stay together and to try to improve the team and to bring the team to in another level in many aspects. And we need time. We need time. If someone thinks that okay, arrived a new coach, Conte won in the past, and then I have I'm a magician, no? I tell you that only magician that I can do to work, to bring work, hard work, to improve, to bring my methods, my idea of football. But you have to understand that we need time, and yeah.
How confident are you have the players here already to bridge that gap? And how much is it about needing to bring in reinforcements to close that gap to the teams that you mentioned?
In this moment, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to make evaluations under this aspect, because you can see that in England, a top team, they are working many years with the same coaches, and they are improving in the years with to reinforce the team. And I think that we have to know that there is a lot of work to do. I'm not scared, but I want to be honest, and I want, because we can put work, we can put everything, heart, passion, but we need a bit of time, and I'm here for this, and the club decided to change the coach because there were, I think, problems. But the problems, there are the problems. There are the problems, and I'm here to work. I'm enthusiastic to work to rebuild an important situation for Tottenham. But we need time, and also to do better everything. We have to do better everything. To have a vision on football. Yeah, this is important for me.
So, yeah, it really was. And, you know, clear message to Levy there as well, in terms of, you know, I'm happy to stay here, but, you know, we need to strengthen the squad, pretty much is what he was saying.
No, I think the most telling thing he's saying is, you know, I found a squad who's committed and ready to work and all that kind of stuff. But he said sometimes you can push a car all to its limit, but it's still not enough.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much saying, look, these players can work, but they're not. Doesn't matter how much these players work, they're not good enough. These players are simply not good enough, and that is the reality of where we're at with a lot of this squad at the moment. They're just not able to produce the kind of performances that can get us by, even against Mura.
It's ridiculous. Why? Why is that the case? Why is that the case? Because these players are definitely good enough to beat Mura. Let's be
It
honest.
should be, but maybe I don't know whether he's calling them out and throwing down the gauntlet, or he's just trying to state a fact. But maybe these players are not as good as a lot of them aren't as good as we think they are. Maybe that's the case. I think a lot of it was to do with yesterday, the way we're playing at the moment with the three at the back. We rely heavily on our centre backs to kind of build up from the back and build possession, and Tanganga, Rodin, and Sanchez just don't look comfortable on the ball whatsoever. And that definitely hampered us throughout the match, trying to play through Mura. But when we did have the ball in the final third, Doherty, Gil, Kane, Dele, they were just sloppy and just weren't able to put any sort of passing moves together. And it was an absolute shambles, really.
And it's the same situation literally every time these players play, isn't it?
That's the thing.
Literally exactly carbon copy performances every single time.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And, the teams are like literally getting worse and worse that we play. And the performances get worse and worse.
Yeah, yesterday was probably a crescendo to what was one of the most embarrassing results in our history. If not some argue the most embarrassing.
Yeah, I was speaking to a couple of people last night, a few WhatsApp groups that I'm a part of, and we were discussing what's more embarrassing, that or games against Grimsby, games against Colchester. And I was saying they're pretty much on a par with each other, but they were saying this one is much more embarrassing. Much more embarrassing.
Could argue it. Could definitely argue it. Considering as well the team we had out, like against Colchester, if I remember rightly, we started the likes of Troy Parrott and whatnot. Like it was very much a rested team. But yesterday, that was definitely a team where you're thinking there's no excuse not to go and get the
this
win.
team Mura were founded in 2012.
Yeah, it's a joke, mate. They're on a 4-game losing streak domestically.
They were
It's
founded in
ridiculous.
2012. How ridiculous is that? How can you lose to a team that founded in 2012?
Cody Mack said we should all start a team now, and in 9 years we can beat Spurs.
Literally.
That's how it is at the moment.
It's mental.
It's absolutely crazy that we've lost to the caliber of team that we did yesterday. It's embarrassing. It's a stain on the club. The result and the performance.
Well, look, let's get into the match review from last night. Obviously, it was a complete shit show from start to finish. I mean, you could tell it was going to be a disjointed performance right from the off, couldn't you? I mean, we were shocking, couldn't put two passes together. Balls were just bouncing off many of our players, including Dele Alli, Harry Kane, Ollie Skip, balls were just bouncing off our players. Couldn't put two passes together with 2 or 3 passes together. And there was just nothing, no cohesion in that team, no patterns of play, no nothing. I couldn't see anything in that team from the personnel on the pitch yesterday.
Yeah, and I felt like yesterday was a really good opportunity for a few players to at least show that they're willing to fight for their place in the team. Even I know it's Mura, and I know it's not a game where they're going to be excited about and things like that, but you have to come to these games correct, and especially with a new manager at the helm, with a game where we needed a result to make sure we're qualifying for the next round, against a team who are in Slovenia they're not even playing their full strength team, and they're on a losing streak. Like, there's no excuse, and yet we couldn't even come with the minimum amount of effort to make this game manageable. And I think the team that was selected, I think he wanted to. I think Conte is still trying to work out his squad, and he wanted to see what they have to offer. And I think for the back three, he'll be really disappointed in terms of their lack of composure, their lack of quality on the ball, their lack of willingness to step into midfield and join the attack and be brave in that sense. I think he'll be disappointed with what he saw from his centre back options. I think in midfield, Ndombele and less to a lesser extent Skip, but more in Ndombele, weren't able to hang on to the ball with any sort of regularity. They were very easily dispossessed and were very easily losing the ball very cheaply. Same goes for the front three. I thought Gil, Kane and Dele very sloppy on the ball. I think Dele to a more extent than the other two, because I think the other two at least were looking to try things and move the ball forward and get passes forward. Dele was just, I thought, was by far the worst of the three up front of there. I thought he was absolutely shocking. Didn't do one good thing, I think, throughout the whole time he was on the pitch. I can't remember anything he did.
I think in the first,
nothing.
In the first half there were like one or two like nice touches, but apart from, I mean, the guy did not impact anything. Did not do anything to impact that game yesterday.
I can't remember any passes forward he made or any attempted shots or anything like that. At least Kane, yeah, he was sloppy, but like he was trying to pass the ball forward and trying to make things happen. Like Dele there was nothing there. Yeah. There was just nothing there. Gil as well. I think at least with him, he was doing a few nice dribbles and stuff and trying to make things happen.
He got in a good position. I know he sliced his shot that went over the bar, but at least he got into that position to try and impact something.
And it was obviously not good enough from any of them, but at least from the Kane and Gil, I'm seeing a bit of like willingness to try and make stuff happen. Dele, I didn't see anything. Honestly, I didn't see anything from him yesterday to show me that he's serious about getting back into the first team. When it comes to Session and Doherty, obviously Session got sent off after half an hour with let's be honest, two challenges, which the first one, he's stopping a counter, gets a booking, that's fair enough, but like when you're on a yellow to lunge in like that is so stupid. It's the most stupid thing. It reminded me of Tanganga against Palace, very similar of what he did. And it's just ridiculous when you're on a yellow to be lunging in like that. And I thought it was a tiny bit harsh, but you can't have any complaints if he makes any sort of contact when you're as late as he was. Then you can't have any complaints about getting sent off, in my opinion. And
some of the touches from some of our players, like
lazy,
like Doherty, especially Doherty. Oh my God! Some of the touches he was doing last night.
Doherty was probably the one player actually who found himself in the most positions in the final third, like with a lot of possession.
How many times did he find himself in good positions on that right hand side, like far down the pitch? And what did he do with it?
Nothing.
What did he do with it?
Nothing.
It was so frustrating watching Matt Doherty. I mean, how many chances are we going to give this guy? And it's carbon copy after carbon copy after carbon copy of performances from that guy.
Even against Mura, he can't impact the game. It's unbelievable. It's
I don't remember one good performance he's had for us, ever.
No. I think his best performance has ever been like a 6 out of 10. That's like he's been the best.
Yeah, and that's probably like few and far between as well.
Exactly. Even those games are rarity. And I think this is I don't know. And it was embarrassing enough that we needed to get those 4 players on like Son and Højbjerg and whoever else we brought on in the second half. It was embarrassing we needed them, but we didn't even win the game. We didn't even get the draw. The funny thing is, like, first of all, Sanchez lets the player cut inside for the first goal, which is bad enough, but you forgive him because first of all it's a great goal and second of all he slipped, so whatever. You just about, I mean, it's not good enough, but you just about say, okay, it is what it is with that. But for Sanchez to let him do it again in the final kick of the game, that's unacceptable. And this is a £40 million defender who's been given a lot of opportunities at Tottenham.
And he's been given a lot of praise this season.
A lot of praise, yeah. I mean, yeah, for a lot of his performances. But to be doing that, I mean, he didn't look. I think maybe you can put it down to him being on the left-hand side because again, he didn't look comfortable when he was on the left-hand side, but how he doesn't have the basics of the defending in those situations to make sure the player doesn't cut inside and gets a good shot on goal and doesn't force him out wide and force the angle is quite honestly, it's schoolboy stuff. It was
Sanchez on 45 million is over like triple what the whole Mura team are worth.
Yeah,
over triple what the whole Mura team. Let that sink in for a second, and look what he does on the pitch yesterday to gift them 2 goals.
Yeah,
he's worth almost triple what the Mura squad are worth. It's a joke.
It's ridiculous.
It's an absolute joke. That whole Mura team, that whole Mura squad is worth 7.5 million.
Surprised it's that much, honestly.
7.5 million. Harry Winks is probably worth double that.
And then, the funny thing is yesterday that the results were actually going in our favour. Even though we couldn't get the win against Mura, which is embarrassing enough, the Rennes drawing 3-3 with Vitesse actually put us in a decent position. It meant if we can grab the draw, we could still top the group. And if we take the point going into the last game, and we couldn't even hang on to the point against Mura. We couldn't even hang on to the 1-1 draw, which would have been a good result. Even when we get given a gift from Vitesse for grabbing that early equaliser, we still couldn't do our part and all we had to do was actually get a draw against Mura. That's all we had to do going into that final game, and we couldn't even do that. I mean, that is how embarrassing it was yesterday. And the group is now not looking great for us, and having to beat Rennes is not a position, even though they're already through. It doesn't matter. Mura already out, so clearly it doesn't make too much of a difference to us at the moment. Yeah, I think playing Rennes in the final group game is having to win is not a position we want to be in, and there's a lot being said over the past 20 however few hours about this Conference League, whether it is too much. It's
more hassle than it's worth.
More hassle than it's worth, and I'm honestly starting to. I've always believed it was. I mean, once Conte came in, I thought maybe it could have a bit more value, but I would have thought Conte could have got a bit more out of these fringe players than Nuno has. But the fact that he can't is maybe telling me that it's not worth it, this competition, because first of all, it takes away from the training on the pitch when if we're having one game a week. We're going to get up to speed a lot quicker than we were if we're always having to use resources for this Conference League. And also, we've proven now, this is fact, we can't get through this competition without playing our full team. It's now fact now. We've proven it time and time and time again. Passos, Vitesse, Rennes, and now Mura. Every time we rest players, we can't get a result every single time. So I think it's proven enough that we can't get we're gonna have to use a significant amount of resources in this competition if we want to get through and win the competition. And is it worth it? There's not much money in it. The prize isn't great. Getting Europa League football, it takes away from vital time we could have on the training pitch with Antonio Conte, and it also takes away resources which we'll need to improve our league position and 5 other trophies which are more worth having. And honestly, I don't know if this and you know, if we beat Rennes, we're gonna have to play another playoff to get into the last 16 or whatever it is. I mean, this competition is starting to be too much of a drain on this squad, I believe.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
To be honest, it's hard to argue against that. I was kind of one of the biggest advocates, well, not an advocate for the Conference League, but I wanted to win it, and I wanted to win a trophy at the end of the day. And I thought, especially when we had Nuno, I thought it was more important to win it because we weren't guaranteed to get into the Europa League next season. And to be honest, we're still not guaranteed to get into the Europa League next season. Let's be honest, are we? So, me personally, I still want to go out and win the tournament. I really do. I think that just because we're not guaranteed a top 6 finish, it's another route into European football next season. Yeah, but
if we go, the fact of the matter is, in this competition, with the squad we have at the moment, we're going to have to prioritise. That's just the reality. And if you want to win this competition, you're going to have to play a full-strength team throughout it. That's just the way it is. And if we do that, then you're sacrificing.
I don't think we're going to need to play a completely full-strength
I think
team.
It's proven now, mate. I think it's proven that we do.
Why is it proven that we can't rest 1 or 2 players?
It's proven. We've rested, and we keep not getting the results.
We've never taken a team from the Premier League and go to the Conference League and only rest 2 or 3 players. We've always rested 6 or 7 or 8 players. That's what the case has been.
Well, then you're playing a full-strength team. If you're only resting 1 or 2 players, that's pretty much playing a full-strength team. It's still commit. You're still going to have to play Kane and Son. You're going to have to play both of them. That's pretty much.
It also depends on what we do in January as well. It also depends on what we do in January as well.
Of course it does, but as it stands with the squad we have at the moment, you're going to have to commit serious resources to this competition to win it, and I just don't think it's worth it. I'd rather commit the resources to the league campaign and the domestic competitions rather than this competition. It's not worth it. And also, if we're out the competition, then you will see an acceleration in how we're getting up to speed with how Conte wants us to play and everything. It's well known that Conte is a very good training ground manager. It's well known that when you've got 1 game a week, you get a lot more time on the training pitch instead of having to do the recovery and all that and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, yeah, they're professionals, so they're able to play 2 games a week, but it's not that simple when you're playing Thursday and then you're playing Sunday, so you have Friday to recover, you maybe have one day on Saturday to train, and then you're playing again on Sunday. That's not a lot of time. That really is not a lot of time. At least if we had a whole week, then you literally can commit that whole week to the training pitch, rather than splitting your resources with this Conference League and then going back maybe one day training, have to recover, all this kind of stuff. And we have to play with most of our full strength team because of our squad's not good enough. So I don't know. I see it as too much of a distraction, which isn't worth it, in my opinion. This distraction is, if it's Europa League, I agree with you. Let's commit to it. Let's play a full strength team. Let's win the thing. But this Conference League is not worth it. It's just not worth it. There's no prestige. There's no history to this competition. It's literally just been created out of thin air by UEFA for absolutely no reason. There's no money to be won. You win 10 million for winning the whole thing, which is literally nothing. Let's be honest. That's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. 10 million for winning the whole competition. You win a Europa League spot, which if we commit our resources to the league campaign, I'm certain we'll get a top 6 finish and we'll get a Europa League spot. I am certain of that. If we're playing one game a week, there's no doubt in my mind. If we're playing our full team week in, week out, we'll get a top 6 finish. I'm no doubt about it. And I just feel like I'm getting sick of this competition, to be honest. I'm getting sick of it. I don't like watching the games. I think these players aren't bothered about it, which is bad enough. And I don't know. I just feel like this competition is way too much trouble. Then I just can't see the there's too much downside to the upside. The upside is, we win a trophy. That's literally the only upside, and that's all great. But like, is this what we want to pin our hopes on, winning the Conference League?
I don't think you want to pin your hopes on winning the Conference League. That's not something to pin your hopes in.
That's what you're doing, though, if we're going to win it, if we want to win it.
But I want to win every competition. It's not like I only want to win the Conference League, and that's it.
Yeah, but my point is you have to prioritise. I
want to prioritise. I want to prioritise every other trophy. It doesn't mean I don't want to win the Conference League. You know what I mean? If I had the choice, if it come down to it, and they told me you can only play a stronger team in the league, or you can only play a stronger team in the Carabao or the FA Cup over the Conference League, I would pick the other three. But I think that with the fitness regimes that these players are on, they're supposed to be getting to their fittest levels that they've been on since the prime Poch and stuff like that. Then I think we can. I wouldn't say play a completely strong team in the Conference League, but I'd play a mix and match team. I really would.
We've been playing a mix and match teams, and we've been losing. We're nearly out of the group stage.
So if we go out, so be it.
Good. That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, if you want to win this competition, if you're serious about winning this competition, you're going to have to play a full strength team. That's my point. You're going to have to. I think it's proven now. I think that's just fact. We're going to have to play a full... our squad is not good enough where we can mix and match and expect to just walk through the competition.
Yeah, I think
it's not good enough.
I think it all depends on what we do in January. Obviously, right now, you're completely right. It's not good enough. And every time these players step onto the pitch, they completely fall flat on their asses. But if we can bring in a couple of players in January, can beef up the squad a bit, can add a little bit of quality to this squad, then maybe we can fight on all fronts. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in January.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what we do in January. But right now, I'm honestly not bothered about it. I think it's probably too much. Not only am I not bothered about exiting this competition, I think it's better for us if we do. I think it's better for the team if we're out of this competition. I don't think it's worth it. I think the cons don't outweigh the pros in being in this competition. That's just how I see it. We did do a poll actually on Twitter. Bob Spurs sent a super chat, says poll time, rather stay in the Conference League or out. We did do a poll on Twitter. We can't get up, can we? Unless I join a rendezvous. I'll just read it. I guess there's been 700, and I just saw 750, but then it's gone down. That doesn't make sense. Here we go. 747 votes as of now. It says, after yesterday's result, it's become clear that Spurs can't get through this competition without playing their full team. If Spurs go out, it would give the players more time on the training pitch with Conte to get his ideas across. Are Spurs better off out of the Conference League in the long term? And there's been 747 votes. 52% say yes, we're better off out the Conference League, and 47.9% say no, we need a trophy. So go over to Twitter and get your votes in and let your voices be heard. Obviously, the vote is open until the end of until tomorrow. So interesting to see if there's a lot more votes, what people are saying. At the moment, it's still fairly tight. 52% saying they would rather be out of the Conference League at the moment, which is interesting because at the beginning of the season, I think most people say they would rather not be. Obviously, they would rather be in it. But right now, there's only a slight majority.
What was the majority at the start of the season, sorry?
I think
in or out?
I think at the beginning of the season it was in. I think if I'm right, I don't 100% remember, but I remember.
I think it was always 50-50, to be fair.
It was always tight, but I think it was like slightly in favour of in, and now it's slightly in favour of out. But
I think if we would have won in the last 10-15 years a couple of trophies, then it would be a resounding no. I do believe that, but because we're so kind of struggling for trophies, haven't won one trophy or two trophies in the ENIC tenure, you know what I mean? I think if we would have won a couple under Poch, won that Carabao last year, I don't think people would be so desperate for a trophy, and it wouldn't matter so much to the fan base. Because we're so starved of success, starved of trophies, I think it's become a bit more important because of that.
I get that. No, I completely understand. Of course, I want a trophy as well, but this is not the way I want it. And obviously, who am I to pick and choose what trophy I want? Obviously, I just think for where we want to be as a club in progression, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
What's more embarrassing, going out of this competition or winning this trophy or winning this?
Yeah,
competition?
look, going out. Well, no doubt about it. If we go out the group stage, and it's going to be embarrassing. And
even if we go out in the knockouts, it's embarrassing.
Anywhere. But if we go out, it's going to be embarrassing. I'm not going to deny that. But if it gets us into a position in the league where we're much more competitive, and if it allows us to commit more resources to a domestic competition like a Carabao or FA Cup or whatever, then people forget it very quickly. No one's gonna. If we finish top four, no one's gonna remember we went out the Conference League. That's how I see it.
Obviously, a big if, though, isn't it?
Massive if. It's a massive if, but I would rather try my luck at that than then committing so much resources to the Conference League and then not even winning that. You know what I mean? Like, when it gets to a final,
the same argument when we rested those 11 players against Vitesse, and we went. You were like, "Oh, I don't mind resting these 11 players if we go out and we put a strong team and win against West Ham." But we ultimately lost both games.
Correct.
And I can see the same thing happening. We throw away the Conference League and then we don't even finish top four.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously a possibility, but I'd rather have a better go. I'd rather give myself a better chance of finishing top four than give myself a better chance of winning the Conference League. That's just how I see it. There's not the upsides of finishing top four are a lot higher than winning the Conference League, a lot higher. So obviously there's nothing guaranteed in football, but I just think this Conference League is. I think what we need to do to win it is just not worth it. To what it's going to probably ruin, in my opinion, the rest of their campaign. I think we're gonna completely, because we just need to prioritize. And I think if we don't prioritize the other things, then they're going to fall by the wayside in lieu of trying to win this third-rate European competition, which is we could win it, all well and good, but if we win it, we get a trophy. But that's all you get, pretty much. Yeah. All you get is a trophy, nothing else. No one's going to really care about it. No one's going to join you because you're Conference League holders. You know what I mean?
What's the difference then between the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup?
It's got a bit more prestige about it.
What do you get though? You get the same prize.
A bit more prestige.
You get less money.
There's less games to play. So it's not you don't have to commit as many resources to winning those competitions. Those competitions have more prestige than the Conference League. And I'd rather win them in terms of domestic. They're probably harder in terms of like the teams you have to face a lot of the time. Obviously, yeah, it's very similar. All you get is a trophy, but
we have a terrible league campaign, right? Just for argument's sake, right? Let's say we finish 7th or 8th or whatever, 8th or 9th, for argument's sake. We win the Carabao Cup. We're back in the bloody Conference League next year.
Yeah, and it will be a bad season.
So if it comes to that stage and I'd
rather finish top four than win the Carabao.
Would you, if it comes to the stage though where we're not doing very well in the league and we get to the Carabao Cup final, would you still want us to win that tournament knowing we're going to be back in the Conference League next year?
Yes. Because I think obviously if we're in a final or something, I want us to win the trophy. I want us to win the trophy. Of course I do. Still want to win a trophy, and I think the Carabao Cup, as much as it's the least of the domestic cups, it's still.
I would prefer to win the Conference League than the Carabao Cup. I would prefer to win the FA Cup more than the Conference League. That's just my opinion.
I think when you're comparing Conference League to Carabao, it's splitting hairs. Honestly, there's not much difference in it. I think I'd rather win the Carabao just because there's less games, and we have to win another 10 games if we're going to win the Conference League. It's like we have to win another 3 if we're going to win the Carabao.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a lot easier for our squad to manage that. The Conference League is just too much effort. It's too much. There's too much strain on the squad to if we're going to win this competition, and it's going to spoil everything else. It's going to spoil our league campaign if we really commit to winning it. I really believe that.
All right, well, let's move on. That is our match review from last night. It turned into a bit of a Conference League debate as always, but let's move on and let's talk about the game this weekend where we get to see the first team back in action up at Turf Moor. Burnley against Spurs, 2 o'clock kickoff up north. I mean, how are you looking at this game? After last night, you confident going into this weekend, or do you not kind of put the 2 and 2 together?
Yeah, exactly. I think we've... I mean, look, am I confident going into this game that we're definitely going to win? Obviously, after the result yesterday, that shows to me that there's still a big problem within the whole squad in terms of attitude. Maybe not with the first team, but there is definitely an attitude problem. So I am a bit less confident because if we would have won comfortably yesterday, at least you would have known in the squad there's a atmosphere where people are at least fostering an atmosphere that at least that they can do the bare minimum against a team like Mura and win, and to not even do that indicates a problem, even though it wasn't the first team. But at least on Sunday we will have the first team back in action. We will have a better balanced team. We will have a team more competitive to win. Obviously, against Leeds last week, we made it very difficult for ourselves, 1-0 down. We did turn it around, but it wasn't the easiest of games. So Burnley are a team who are actually in decent form, so they're not going to make it easy for us whatsoever, and we're going to have to be on top of our game if we're going to win. But I've got no doubt that with our squad, with our first team out, and them being if they're playing to their full potential, of course we can win this game. Of course we can win this game, but it's going to be difficult. I don't see it being a very simple task. I don't see it being a game where we're just turning up and playing lovely football and winning easily. It's going to be a slog. It's going to be a tough game. Burnley are going to make it very difficult for us to play for any sort of football. They're going to be very aggressive, and they're going to be actually pressing very high, which they have been very recently. So we're going to have to manage that. We're going to have to be able to either get balls into Harry Kane and Son very quickly from the back line, or be able to play through them with the likes of Winks and Højbjerg, probably, who I'm thinking is probably going to play in the centre of the park. So I don't envisage it being a very simple game, but if we can keep a clean sheet, I do back us to get at least 1 or 2 moments going forward where we can hurt them.
Yeah, and if you look at the head-to-head between the clubs, I mean, we're on pretty good form against Burnley at the moment. Last 4 games, 3 wins, 1 draw. Obviously, a loss coming just before that. But Turf Moor, actually, a lot of people say, it's a hard place to go, the modern-day Stoke and all that. But we've got a pretty good record up there, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We don't tend to lose too many games. The only game I remember us losing was when Poch squared up to Mike Dean that one time.
When we lost, that was when we lost 2-1.
Yeah.
5 games ago, yeah.
Yeah, that was that's one of the only times I remember us losing at Turf Moor. Usually we actually tend to get a result up at Turf Moor. And actually, and Burnley themselves, up until recently, they only just ended an 11-month winless run at home. That was only a few weeks ago. So they actually at home haven't been so great, but I believe it's 1 defeat in 7 for Burnley, isn't it, in the Premier League or something like that right now.
That's pretty impressive, to be fair.
Yeah, and they just recently got a draw against Chelsea.
And that's my point proven about Arsenal. And everyone's saying no losses in 10 or something so impressive. It's because of who they've been coming up against.
Well, they played Chelsea. Burnley got a good draw against Chelsea. They beat Brentford very convincingly at home. They've had a few other decent draws recently, and they've actually been playing very well. And
they lost against Man City 5 games ago.
Yeah, they lost against City.
That was their loss.
And
before that, they lost to Arsenal and Everton. So They lost 2 games in September, and since then they've only lost 1 game since Man City.
So it's going to be a difficult game. I think if we go 1-0 down, I think we could be in big trouble in this game, to be honest. We can't concede the first goal. Unlike a game against Leeds, where despite going 1-0 down, you know they're going to leave some gaps come the second half. Like Burnley, especially at home, not especially at home, but Burnley, just the team they are, very solid, very compact. They're going to make it very difficult. They're going to flood the penalty area with loads of defenders. And they're going to make it very difficult for you to get shots off and to create chances. And especially if you give them encouragement by going 1-0, if you give them an early advantage, then it all of a sudden becomes a very, very difficult game. All of a sudden becomes a game where you're struggling to get back into it. And unless we would score very soon after conceding, if we let it drag on for a while, I can see it being a big struggle. And the worrying thing is in Cornet and Wood, they got up front. They got 2 players who are actually quite in form right now.
Yeah, Cornet especially. I mean, he is just he's come to the Premier League and taken to it like a duck to water. Literally, came as a left back and he's suddenly playing up front and scoring a lot of goals. I mean, what is it? 5 goals so far this season.
4 goals.
4 or 5 goals this season. So 5 goals. There you go. 5 goals in his 7 games. 5th top goal scorer in the league. So we got to be very, very wary of him.
And the worrying thing about Cornet is it's not just he's scoring absolute worldies, and out of nothing he's scoring. And if he can do that on Sunday to give Burnley the lead, then that's exactly what we don't need. We don't need something like that happening where we're all somewhere on the back foot.
Would you take him at Spurs, Cornet?
I mean, it's too early to say. I mean, I liked him at Lyon, but I never saw this kind of side to him. He was always like a left wing back kind of player. I remember watching him against when Lyon knocked out Man City in the Champions League. That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember
Ndombele was really good for them.
No, Ndombele was a Spurs player then. I mean, was it last year or 2 years ago?
Oh, you're talking about then?
Yeah,
I was talking about the year before we signed him. Didn't Ndombele have a really good performance
there was
against
that.
Man City?
Yeah, there was that. But I'm talking about when Lyon knocked them out of the Champions League in the knockout stages. I'm pretty sure it was 2 years ago. I can't remember who knocked City out last year, but I know they lost in the final last year, so it was 2 years ago. And he was brilliant. I remember he scored a goal from about 30 yards out, but it was obviously an open goal because Ederson had come charging out of his area and the ball fell to corner. And he was able to finish it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he scored that goal. I remember he was really dangerous that day. He was playing left wing back, and I was really impressed. But I would never thought he could be the kind of player who could play up front. This is just something. Maybe look, Sean Dyche has seen something in him, that he's actually got a very good finish and he's strong and he's fast, which we always knew he was. And he's added goals to his game, which is very impressive. Look, he's only 7 games in, so who knows? He could go the next 20 games out scoring. Like, he is that type of player, Cornet, to be fair. But at the moment, Sean Dyche seems to have unlocked something in him which no one really thought was possible in terms of turning him to a striker. And some of the finishes, like the finish last week against Palace was absolutely exceptional. A volley at the back post into the roof of the net.
He's got some proper techers about him.
That was some really good technique. I remember Southampton, he scored an over the shoulder volley into the near post. He's just been scoring like some great goals. And I remember against City as well. I remember I don't know, the result was 1-0 at the time. And he was through 1-on-1, and he had a really good chance to score. And if it wasn't for a good save for Ederson, he would have had another goal. So he's even been threatening the bigger teams, not just the other teams who are coming up against Burnley. So he's going to be obviously the number 1 threat. But then Chris Wood, we always know Chris Wood's a striker who is always going to be a threat, isn't he? Big, strong, tall striker. And the way Burnley like to play, getting a lot of crosses into the box, Chris Wood's always going to be a big threat. And with the 2 up against our 3 at the back, you know, that's probably that's something that they're going to be looking at and thinking they might be able to get some joy, especially if they stick Wood on Ben Davis. That's going to be definitely an avenue where if they can launch long balls into Chris Wood and they stick him on Ben Davis, you can get a lot of joy in that.
And obviously Dwight McNeil as well is big danger with his delivery into the box. But how much of a miss is Tarkowski and Westwood going to be, both suspended coming into this one?
Westwood, I think they can manage a bit more, but Tarkowski is obviously a massive miss. He's obviously a number one centre back. Collins has actually been a decent deputy, to be fair. He's played quite a bit this season, so it's not going to be something that is new to them. Collins and me, I think they've played a couple of times already this season together. So it's going to be a big miss, and that's definitely somewhere where we need to look at and think, okay, their number one centre back's missing. We need to take advantage of that. But it's not something that is new to them completely this season, because I think Collins has played quite a bit. He's actually been quite decent. They signed him for decent money, actually, I think, in the summer.
Who from?
From Stoke, if I remember rightly. I think they signed him from Stoke for decent money, like over 10 million.
And I was going to say, actually, because we've already gone to Turf Moor this year, right? 1-1-0 in the Cup. Yeah. Do you see it being a kind of very similar game to that?
Well, that game, Burnley actually rested quite a few players, didn't they?
Yeah.
And obviously Spurs, it was a bit of a mix and match, but we had to bring players on in the second half to win the game. I think Sonny came on and Lucas came on, and we ended up winning. Do I see it being a similar game? I mean, I hope so, because we were probably the better team that day, and we deserved the 1-0 win, despite the fact that we didn't create too many chances.
It was a very drab game, though.
It was, but we were in control of it, if I remember rightly. Like, we were the better team. So, as long as we're in control of the game, then I think we definitely have the better players to go on and win. But I expect it to be a tougher game, to be honest. I expect Burnley to have a lot more joy in terms of going forward and creating a bit more. We just have to make sure we weather any sort of storm that comes our way. We hold strong. I think if we keep a clean sheet in this game, I think we will win the game. That's what I believe, because I think we should, with Son coming back in, Lucas obviously there, we'll create a few moments where we get them on the back foot and we're able to maybe get a chance on goal. It's just making sure that, because I feel like if we go 1-0 down, the way we're playing at the moment, and the way this team, the mentality of the team is, the worrying thing is, if we do go 1-0 down, it's not just that Burnley will make it difficult, it's that we're going to start to panic. We're going to start to rush things. We're going to start to force the issue to a bit more. We will lose that patience that we need in this kind of game. And once you start doing that, all of a sudden you make it difficult for yourself to get back in the game, and you start feeling that pressure. And I think we've been guilty of that a lot throughout probably the past couple of years, to be honest, of just forcing the issue a bit too much whenever we concede the first goal, and we never seem to be very good at getting back into it. I know we did it last week against Leeds, but I think Burnley would be a different outfit if they were to go 1-0 up than Leeds would. I think Leeds always give you a chance, don't they?
Yeah, always. They always do. But,
exactly.
You know, they did perform pretty well. I was quite impressed with Leeds, especially in that first half on the weekend.
Yeah,
but Burnley, I've been impressed with Burnley watching them week in, week out, to be fair. I really have, albeit they in the last 20 home games, they've only won 2 games, which is mad when you think about it. In the last 20 home games, they've only won 2 games, and one of those was Rochdale in the Cup.
And the other one was Brentford then.
Yeah, and the other one was Brentford. So, look, I think that we've definitely got it in us to go up there and win convincingly. But the way I see the game going is going to be a very tight affair, won by the odd goal, maybe 2. 1 or 2-0 is going to be my prediction. What are you going for?
I said 2-0 my prediction. I think I'm going to change it to 1-0. I think there's only going to be 1 goal in it. I think I just got to hope that we keep that clean sheet, because that's going to be that's the crucial thing. If we keep the clean sheet, I think we'll win.
And without Romero with that Sanchez shit show yesterday, who slots in there?
Yeah, it'll be.
Do you think Tanganga retains his space, or Rodon comes in? Who do you think takes that third spot?
If I was Conte, I would stick Sanchez, but I'd put him on the right, because I think the main issue for the whole Sanchez thing, obviously he was terrible, but I think the main problem for him was him being on the left-hand side. He just did not look comfortable whatsoever. You put him on the right-hand side, like, you know, when he came on against Leeds, he was pretty solid, and he was on the right.
He's been pretty solid every time he's come
and
off
he looks a lot more comfortable on the ball when he's on the right-hand side as well. So I think I also think it's crucial in this game we have players who are very good in the air and are very strong.
So would you not play Joe Rodon then?
No, I would play Sanchez over Rodon on the right hand side. I would play Sanchez on the right, David on the left, with Dyer in the centre. That's what I would do, because then you have 2 players comfortable on the ball, in Dyer and Davis, And then you've got Sanchez, who's able to sweep up things that go over the top and stuff like that, and a bit of pace. Obviously, he played Tanganga against Leeds, so maybe that's an indication he feels Tanganga's a lot more comfortable on the ball than Sanchez, which he probably is. And that's not saying much because I don't think Tanganga's comfortable on the ball, but he probably is a bit more comfortable than Sanchez. And it's crucial in the way, because you see in the way Conte likes to play, you see how Davis gets forward. You see how he gets in those positions where he's underlapping kind of the wing back on occasion when he finds the opportunity, and he's able to get in those positions where he's either able to get a shot off or get a cross in or something like that, and that's crucial to how he wants to play. And is Sanchez or Tanganga or even Rodon capable of that? I don't know. It's we haven't seen it at the moment.
No, we haven't.
And that's the problem with I think Romero, he's clearly capable of doing that kind of thing. Davis is very capable of doing that kind of thing, but we don't have another centre back really in that position who is capable of being very comfortable stepping into midfield or stepping into the final third and picking up the ball and actually contributing. We don't seem to have that, so it's about managing who he plays there. And I know he's played Tanganga there. I just think you're probably better off playing Sanchez and just having someone who's very solid on that right hand side. And even if he's not that comfortable on the ball, maybe he can just allow maybe Dye to go a bit further forward or something like that, because I don't know, I feel like Tanganga didn't do the job well enough for me on Sunday.
The thing is with Sanchez, obviously he had a terrible 2 mistakes yesterday, and before that I felt he was playing with a bit of confidence, and every time he came on the pitch he looked aggressive, he looked up for it. I just feel like maybe yesterday he could have knocked him for 6 a little bit in terms of his confidence.
Yeah, I hope not, but you might be right. Whenever he seems to be on the left-hand side, he seems to have a bad game. That's the thing. I remember against Wolves in the Cup, he played on the left-hand side with Romero and he was terrible. Like, he was just so shaky. Then you move him over to the right. He just seems a lot more comfortable when he has, when he's squaring up against the defender with his body shape on the right-hand side. When he's on the left, he just seems completely not comfortable. And also when he's looking to pass and stuff, his body shape on the left-hand side is just completely wrong. He doesn't know how to position himself, and
not bad for a 45 million centre back, isn't it?
Exactly, can only play one very specific position. But that's the reality with Sanchez. You know that's who he is. And
look, at the end of the day, ultimately, if we want to if Conte is going to be our manager for the long term, and we want to match his ambitions, we need such better centre-backs than we have.
We need centre-backs.
Rodon needs to be upgraded. Sanchez needs to be upgraded. Davis needs to be upgraded. Dyer probably needs to be upgraded.
We need defenders who are comfortable on the ball.
Yeah.
Because that's crucial. You look at his defenders for Inter. You know, you had Bastoni, De Vrij, Skriniar. And the only reason he didn't like Skriniar is because he wasn't comfortable enough on the ball as the other ones. But he still is very comfortable on the ball compared to our centre-backs. And especially Bastoni and De Vrij, very comfortable stepping into midfield and very comfortable on the ball. At Chelsea, he had Gary Cahill, David Luiz and Azpilicueta, all three of them very comfortable on the ball. Very comfortable on the ball. And they can build up attacks. For Tottenham, though, you know, Davis and Dyer are probably our most composed centre-back options, and they're not like that great. So that's just reality. We definitely need big upgrades in the centre-back positions, and those positions are so crucial to us building this Conte team. He needs players in that position who can be an anchor. And at the moment, we just don't have that.
We need upgrades at centre-back. We need cover at wing-backs. We need definitely cover for Emerson, because we've literally got no one else apart from Matt Doherty. Left-back, we need cover for Reguilon, because, you know, Sesson really hasn't shown anything, but I guess he's got time on his side. But we still need cover that can come in now and do a job. We need cover all over the pitch. We need upgrades in centre midfield. We need a backup striker for Harry Kane. We probably need another right winger as well for cover for Lucas. So, I mean, the surgery in this squad is massive. It's massive.
Exactly. So that's what Conte's got ahead of him in January. We're obviously not going to get all that done in January. It's impossible to do all of that. But we need to. But I think the number one is definitely the centre-backs, because that's just the most crucial role in the Conte system, is having those centre-backs who are comfortable on the ball, able to build from the back, but also not too much of a liability when on counter-attacks and stuff like that. And obviously they're difficult to find, but that's got to be our number one, because if we have that solid base in the back, then at least we've got something to build on going forward, and at least we can maybe keep clean sheets and keep things tight. And we have good players up front who can maybe provide those bits of quality. So that's going to be the number one for Conte. But unfortunately for him, right now, and Romero's injured, so he's just going to have to go with what he has. And what
I
he has
actually
now
think
is
the
difficult.
fullbacks are massive for us. Fullbacks, like, whenever we play a Matt Doherty on the right, we pretty much lose the game. Whenever we don't play a Reguilon on the left, we lacking massively on the left-hand side. We need competent options to back up. We just need them desperately, because that's what fails us a lot in these kind of small games. We don't have the options on the wing backs that can provide, good moments for us at all. They don't provide anything at our backup fullbacks. They're so bad. It's unbelievable. And in a Conte system where the fullbacks are so important and they exert so much energy, they can't play 2 games in a week, these fullbacks, just because of the energy that they exert in these games.
Exactly. We need people who can come in.
And that's especially the fullbacks. I think the fullbacks more than anyone else on the pitch.
Yeah, but at least right now we have 2 fullbacks who can start. You know what I mean? We don't have 3 centre backs who you're confident enough that you to go with. You know what I mean? So that's why I would say the centre backs are just about a priority.
Yeah, I think that when everyone's fit, I think you can probably just about get away with Romero, Dyer, Davis, just about.
But I'm saying, Emerson and Reguilon are much higher quality of wing back than Davis and Dyer are centre back.
Correct. Yeah.
So we need just from a starting 11 point of view, centre back has to be number 1.
Yeah, agreed. All right, that is our match preview for the game this weekend. A super chat to get through. Clement saying Doherty, Dele, Sanchez, Sessegnon and Golini are done. Sell them in January. It's hard to argue against, to be fair.
We're not going to sell Golini in January, are we?
I mean, is Golini even gonna? Are we gonna buy Golini? Do you reckon?
I don't know. Depends what.
I've seen more in Gazzaniga than I've seen in Golini.
I don't know. I think it's a bit too early to judge Golini. He's had all these Conference League games to contend with. I don't know. I think he's done okay. I don't think he's done terribly. I don't think he's done great, but I don't think he's. I don't know. It's hard to judge him on these games.
I don't really look at him like a safe pair of hands, though. Do you?
No, not at the moment. But I'm just hoping that if he was to ever get a run of games, maybe he would be a bit more safer. He started for Atlanta very regularly, and he was quite good for them. So
they do concede a lot of goals at Atlanta, though.
True, but that's not to do with him.
No,
that's to do with how they play. They're just very offensive. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's too harsh to judge him just yet. In terms of what we've seen so far, I don't think I've seen enough of him.
I mean, there was a time where the Spurs fan base wanted to see Gazzaniga as our number 1, and he ultimately was when Lloris was injured, and then he got found out pretty quickly. Correct. At the end of the day, Gazzaniga. But Golini just has never. Well, you're right. It's been too short, so I'm not going to comment anymore. But I'm not that impressed with him so far. Doherty, yes. Dele, yes. Sanchez, most definitely. And Sessegnon. Jury's still out on Sessegnon, but I still have not seen anything from him in a Spurs shirt at all.
Yeah. The thing is with Sessegnon, I agree with you, but I still want to give him a bit more time. For me, we just haven't seen enough in the shirt. I just want to give him a bit more, because I think, if we sell him, fine, and then we have to buy another backup left wing back, and we could find one, but might be worth just sticking with Sessegnon a bit longer and see what he can do. That's all I'm saying. 'Cause I think this could be. I know he got sent off yesterday. That's a massive blow, but hopefully he can. This role could still be right for him. That's what I'm hoping for. I just want to give him a bit more time before we start looking for a replacement, because it's just a headache we don't need, really. We've got so many other priorities. I'd rather, if we had a stable backup left back in Sessegnon, then we won't need to concentrate our efforts in getting another one right now if we're selling him. If we sell him, then there's another thing we need to get. So I'd just rather see what he can do first.
All right, and just before we go, did you hear about Højbjerg deactivating his Twitter account last night?
I heard about it. I don't know why. Yeah, I wonder what. Maybe he was being tweeted abuse or something. I hope that's not true. I don't know why yesterday he would have used Højbjerg. He only came on for a few minutes, so
maybe he was just sick and tired of seeing the reaction to the club or the team. And
Yeah, I mean, he's always the first one, isn't he? Usually on social media to come out and say something after a terrible performance and results. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he doesn't want to. He's sick of doing it. I don't know, but I hope he's not been getting abuse. If he is getting abuse, I think it's pathetic from the fan base who's sending him abuse for no reason. I don't get it. So I hope that's not the reason he's been deactivating his account. Do you see these quotes? These quotes from being attributed to Conte on Daniel Levy.
No, go on.
He says, "I thought if we are able to match what he does off the pitch with what I do on the pitch, we can develop and compete with the biggest English clubs. We need to fill the gap between investments and sporting results."
Completely spot on. Completely spot on. I mean, that's everyone's dream, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's everyone's dream. If we can have Levy's success off the pitch, on the pitch, then we'll be champions every year.
Yeah, and he always talks about how he's been talking about a lot, hasn't he? How we're so great off the pitch, but we need to start.
I love how honest he is, man. I love how honest he is, and it's not like honesty where he's like beating around the bush. He just completely says it, black and white, how it is. I love that. Absolutely love it. What's that on Hill?
Nah, it's just rubbish. Mundo Deportivo saying Barcelona want him on loan.
All right, look, I think that's all we've got time for today for Good Morning Tottenham, but we will be back live around 3 o'clock for the pre-match fan show, when it is your chance to have your say on the game this weekend. So looking forward to speaking to you all a bit later, but in the meantime, match review and player ratings will be with you very shortly. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.
Thank you.